Your Excellency, the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps, the Dean of the Africa Diplomatic Corps, Secretary Economic Relations, my colleague from Parliament, Mr. Shashi Tharoor, who I just saw walk in, Excellencies, our MAA colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Namaskar and a very good evening to all of you. I'm truly delighted today to participate at the Africa Day celebrations and to have this opportunity to address this august gathering. I want to say I really mean it, because of all the national days, I find the Africa Day a particularly joyous occasion, one where there's a very strong expression of solidarity. It is probably in many ways, a very emotional national day. And you know, I think I speak for all the Indians in the room that today, in many ways, is an occasion for us to express our very, strong sentiments and deep bonding with Africa. Now, let me begin my remarks by welcoming in our presence 50 diplomats from Africa who are here in our midst. They have come here. All of you, welcome. They have come here to India for a specially curated training program at our diplomatic academy. And I acknowledge the Dean of our Sushma Swaraj Institute of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Studies, who's here as well and is taking very good care of them. Friends, Africa Day, we all know, commemorates the founding of the Organization of African Unity in 1963. Now, this historic milestone gave institutional expression to the ideals of Pan-Africanism and to the collective aspirations of the African people. India's own relations with Africa, of course, go back into the recesses of history. Indians and Africans have been interacting with each other for millennia. The annual rhythmic reversal of the monsoon winds, which we all know, in fact, which we are all experiencing right now, has been the engine that has historically powered the interaction between the Indian subcontinent and the African continent. Connected and not separated by the Indian Ocean, our ancestors have exchanged not just goods, but also cultures, cuisines, philosophies, beliefs, knowledge, folklore, and I would even say ways of life. Our intertwined histories acquired another dimension, a somber one, during the colonial era, when our people suffered under the yoke of colonialism. India and Africa stood together in the common struggle for freedom and for human dignity, and that bonding continues even today. Indeed, our relationship draws its strength from the ideological affinities between our founding fathers. It was on African soil that Mahatma Gandhi developed and refined the principles of satyagraha and of non-violence. These principles later inspired visionary African leaders such as Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere, and Nelson Mandela, among others. And as Nelson Mandela summed up this bond with the observation that you gave us Mohandas Gandhi, we gave you the Mahatma. Following the attainment of independence by Indian and African nations, our countries began engaging with one another as confident, sovereign, and equal partners. Together, we have laid a strong foundation for India-Africa relations, and through it, a wider framework for South-South cooperation. In contemporary times, our countries have charted parallel trajectories of resurgence and rejuvenation. This is reflected in our strategies for our future development. In India, that ambition is today expressed in Viksit Bharat 2047 or Developed India. And for Africa, it is articulated through Agenda 2063 and respective national development visions. Excellencies, friends, India's approach to Africa is guided by the 10 principles outlined by Prime Minister Narendra Modi during his address to the Ugandan Parliament in 2018. These Kampala principles enshrine Africa among the top priorities of India, with engagements through demand-driven development partnership, open markets for trade and investment, digital revolution for Africa's development, a reformed global order, and a free, inclusive maritime order, among others. I'm also pleased to share that over the past decade, more than 150 high-level visits have taken place between us, reflecting the sustained political commitment of both sides. Personally, I have had the honor as External Affairs Minister of visiting African nations over 20 times, and I look forward to a few more visits even in the coming months. India has opened up 17 new diplomatic missions in recent years, expanding our resident footprint to 46 African nations. Friends, the inclusion of the African Union as a permanent member of the G20, to which Ambassador Maliki alluded, during India's presidency, was a seminal step in the direction of India's enduring commitment to the African continent and indeed to the global south. Guided by this spirit, India is a strong votary of Africa's rightful place in a reformed United Nations Security Council. We similarly seek your support to ensure India's permanent seat on the UN Security Council. Excellency, friends, the theme for Africa Day 2026 is Africa, a land of rich culture and opportunities. And this truly captures the dynamism of the continent today. India is proud to be one of Africa's largest trade and investment partners. Our bilateral trade stands at US $93 billion last year. Similarly, India has emerged as one of the top investors in Africa, with cumulative investments exceeding US $80 billion. And these are spread across a varied set of sectors, from telecom, energy, pharmaceuticals, infrastructure, agriculture, and digital services. India stands for an inclusive, demand-driven development cooperation with Africa that enhances local capacity to support national priorities. To this end, I recognize today that the Government of India has extended 190 lines of credit exceeding US $10 billion for projects in over 40 countries of Africa. So far, more than 220 projects worth $4.5 billion have been successfully completed. Many others are in the pipeline. Further, since 2015, India has also extended $700 million worth of grant assistance to African countries for infrastructure projects, medical aid, HADR support, and other such activities. One of them, which we are particularly proud of, is the fitment of artificial limbs, particularly in conflict areas. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, human resource development remains at the heart of India's engagement with Africa, and all of you diplomats who are here are an example of that. Over the last 11 years, India has offered more than 80,000 scholarships and training opportunities through ITEC, through ICCR, through the C.V. Raman Fellowships, and through the e-VBAB digital education portals. We have now made a qualitative transition by opening centers of excellence in Africa, as well as, and I'm particularly proud of these two, the IIT campus, IIT Madras campus in Zanzibar, and the National Forensic Sciences University in Uganda. And I want to tell you, I've had the pleasure of visiting the campuses of both these institutions. During times of crisis, our partnership has repeatedly proven its strength and resilience, whether it was the COVID pandemic, natural disasters, humanitarian emergencies. India has always stood firmly with Africa, guided by the ancient Indian philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family. And we know that Africa has a similar outlook in Ubuntu, I am because we are. At a time when conflicts increasingly impact the global south, our partnership has also focused on food security. Recent examples include the supply of food grains to Burkina Faso, Mozambique, Lesotho, Namibia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, Botswana, and Sierra Leone. And our experience in reviving millet production is also one very useful to African nations. In addition, medicines, vaccines, medical equipment, and disaster relief materials have been sent to over 25 African countries in the last 5 years as a gesture of our solidarity. Friends, peace and security in Africa are of vital importance to India. We have stood with African partners through peacekeeping, defense training, capacity building, maritime cooperation. Guided by Vision Mahasagar, we shall continue to work towards safer sea lanes, stronger maritime domain awareness, anti-piracy efforts, and cooperative responses to emerging challenges. Another pillar of our wide-ranging engagement is that of defense training and maritime cooperation. Indian military training teams are undertaking capacity building today in Mozambique, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania and Namibia, to name a few. At the same time, professionals from Cabo Verde, Gambia, Guinea, Liberia, Mali, Sierra Leone, Togo, and Namibia are benefiting from our ITEC training slots. India also participates in multilateral defense and maritime exercises with African countries, including the AFINDEX 2023, Bright Star in 23 and 25, IPSAMAR exercise in 24, and the IKEME 2025 in Tanzania. Bilaterally, we also have exercise Lamitier with Mauritius and exercise Cyclone with Egypt. Friends, earlier this year, we were ready to host the African leadership at the 4th India-Africa Forum Summit. Unfortunately, the outbreak of Ebola virus led to the postponement of the summit. The decision to postpone it was jointly taken by our partners of the African Union and India. We continue to be in close contact with the African Union and look forward to an early opportunity that is mutually convenient to reconvene IAFS 4. As a trusted partner of Africa, India has pledged to give a package of $10 million of in-kind medical equipment and support to Africa's CDC and partner countries at risk. I'm pleased to share with you today that we have already extended 3 tranches of aid as a part of our pledge. Friends, Africa today stands at the cusp of a transformation. With its immense demographic strength, its vast natural resources, and its great entrepreneurial energy, India too continues its confident journey of innovation-led rapid growth and qualitative transformation. Together, we represent not only a very large share, a very significant share of the world's population, but also a powerful joint force for global progress. Building on our shared foundations and ambitions, our two sides are ready to grasp opportunities and co-create a bright future, one based on innovation and sustainability, and that drives our countries and the global south and the world to a better tomorrow. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude with a very clear message. Africa is our partner. Africa is our priority. Whether we speak of a multipolar world order or of reformed multilateralism, it is our firm conviction that it will happen only when Africa is given its due place. As Prime Minister Modi has emphasized, this century is ours to shape and to build, and we will surely do so because the heartbeats of Indians and Africans beat in rhythm. I thank you for your kind attention, and I wish you a very, very happy Africa Day 2026. Thank you.